Well, hello, Phil Jamieson, proofreadnow.com. Welcome back. Today we're talking about some important things, words actually, words that people often get confused, and we don't want you to do that because we want you to appear very smart to all the people you speak with. You know, if you've ever been in a conversation with someone and you've heard that person say something you know is wrong, do you correct her? What if she is testing you just to see if you know right from wrong? What would you do? Why don't you let us know? Send us some email here at philj@proofreadnow.com. Tell us what you do if you were in a conversation with a very smart person and that person made a big word mistake. Let us know what you do. I'm interested. Meanwhile, we've got some words here that we want to talk about today and help you distinguish when you're using them. The first one, or the first pair, is historic and historical. There's a difference. Everything happening in the past was historical, but certain things are major events. Those are historic. So the Declaration of Independence is a historical event, but it's also a historic event. Notice, by the way, that we use the article A in America before historic and historical. So something can be historical and historic, but those things that were major events are historic. So keep those two things separate. Another one is decimate. How often do you hear people use the word decimate to mean completely destroyed? You know, literally decimate means 1 in 10 was destroyed. So, for instance, you might say the troops were decimated, meaning 1 out of 10 of the troops perhaps was killed. So you can use it, and nowadays people use it to mean significant damage, not literally 1 in 10, but never use it to mean that something was completely destroyed. You might say, for instance, here's a good example. Jojo says that the Starbucks crowd in Austin has been decimated by the recession. They have fewer people coming into Starbucks because of the recession. That's a valid use of the word. But you would never want to say the earthquake decimated 75% of Martha's Vineyard. You can't use decimated and some percentage like that. So make sure you use decimated correctly. Another one, dilemma. People very often misuse this term dilemma. Dilemma is used to signify two choices. I have a dilemma. I have choice A and choice B, and both are bad. Dilemma is not a choice between something good and something bad. It's a choice between two bad options. There's a phrase, caught in the horns of a dilemma. There's a two-ness here to this word. Die means two. So don't use dilemma to say that you've got a good choice coming up. Use the word dilemma to describe two choices, neither of which is really attractive. That is your dilemma. And another word, restive. You think restive might mean impatient or fidgety. Actually, restive means unruly or stubborn. You could be a child could be restive. Doesn't mean that he's rested. Doesn't mean that he's impatient or fidgety, but it does mean that he's stubborn or unruly. So let's try to use restive in the proper context as well. Almost to the end here of these important words, and this is a very important one, amount versus number. How often do people confuse amount and number? You use amount when you're talking about things that can be measured in bulk. For instance, we might have a large amount of lumber coming onto our warehouse. We have a large amount of flour in the kitchen. But you use the word number to describe things that you can count. We have a great number of people in our store today, or we have a great number of problems that we need to address before we can move on to the next day. So make sure we use amount and number. Amount refers to things in bulk. Number refers to things that we can count. And finally, appraise and apprise, a favorite pair of mine. If you are looking at jewelry and evaluating how much the jewelry is worth, you are appraising the jewelry. If you're telling somebody of something that that person needs to know, you are apprising that person. You don't appraise a person of certain events that happened in the past. Appraise is to evaluate. in terms of jewelry or something that is worthwhile. A prize is to tell someone something so that they're informed. Okay? There you have it. Historic, historical, decimate, dilemma, restive, amount versus number, and appraise versus apprise. So, go forward, make no mistakes today, and let's make that next paper of yours perfect. All right? Back to proofreading. Thanks again.